You're listening to Shameless Feminine Speaks with your host, modern-day shaman and sister to all, Rebecca Haywood, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shameless Feminine Speaks, the only show on LA Talk Radio for all you shamelessly shameless women, men, ladies, and misfits, ready for the feminine re-evolution. That's right. I'm your host, Rebecca Haywood, and as always, I am joined by the luscious, the lovely, the ooh-la-la, Tatiana Ray.
I love ooh-la-la.
Ooh-la-la-la. Hi, darling. Oh, we are just
we're
ready.
simmering, we're sizzling.
Yes, simmering and sizzling for tonight's show. We are really venturing into what we've been teasing for, I don't know now, like maybe a month, that we're going to be talking about relationship.
Yes.
And as always, whenever we talk about anything, right, it's always in relationship to you,
Yes.
right? It's always in relationship to you, to the you that is spirit, to the you that is love, right? As we revealed last week, you are the love that you seek.
You're the one.
You're the one, baby. The only one.
There's a song like that, isn't there?
You're the one.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, something.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
You don't want us to sing. Yeah, so tonight's topic, we really wanted to continue that conversation on love. We couldn't, that touchstone that we gave you last week around love wasn't complete without flipping it over, without flipping you over a little, okay?
The why. Remember the why?
Yes,
Why?
the why.
Why?
We were
Why?
We were pleading with you. The why don't you just lick your plate clean? Why don't you just love?
Yes.
Just love so completely.
Why?
Why don't
Why?
you let
Why?
yourself devour and be devoured in love as the love that you are? You know, and that was real emotion coming from us as we started. We kind of started with laughter. You know? Why? Yeah, why? And then it was like, why?
And then it was a lamentation.
Why? Because, you know, we have walked through what we're going to walk you through tonight. And you will land on the other side of this and sit with us in this place of going, why, everybody? You be like that hunger of love, you know? What you said last week that was so beautiful and resonated in just such a, like, yeah, this is my tribe right here, my sister right here, in that aspect of that love, like even though love is what we are, right? That love still requires that reciprocity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It still requires that exchange.
You need a playmate.
Love seeks love.
Yes.
To expand, to multiply, to grow, to the more, right?
To the more.
To the more.
More means more.
More. So, yeah, so tonight we're kind of addressing that why.
Yes.
Right? The why you don't. The why we don't, right? The why, it was so beautiful that what you said last night as we were dreaming up tonight's show, that most humans are in relationship defense to defense, right? Yeah.
It's your defenses and your beliefs that are having the relationship.
Yeah, wound
that are relating.
to wound, yeah. Versus love to love. So how do we get there, right? How do we...
And I gave you that tiny little example where I said, like, if you were my very, very best friend, and you are, but, you know, but we were just new in friendship.
I can be one of many.
But we were new in friendship, I was trying to say, remember?
Yes.
And I said, and what if you made this lovely little lunch, and she packed these little sandwiches, and she comes knock on my door, and she says, hey, come on, let's have a quick lunch. And in my old days, I would have gone, what the fuck?
How dare she?
Yeah, how dare, and see where my defenses would have met her picnic basket. Love came to have lunch with me. Love packed love.
A picnic.
Yeah, picnic.
A picnic.
My mom, my Mexican just came through. And yes, and you know, love came with love.
Yeah.
And my defenses opened the door. Years ago, it would have been that way. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But that's a lot of assuming. Who says that I want to have lunch? Who says I want to go away with her and have lunch? Who said we're that good of friends? You see? But really, it would be because, ooh, she can love. Ooh, and she can love. She can love.
Yeah.
You see? And my defenses would have opened the door.
Yeah.
And don't you think that's what happens?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, love, tonight's title is Reveling or Rebelling in Love's Reveal. Okay? And so, you know, love does reveal. It really reveals.
Yes.
You know, I mean, how many of you have been aware of that when you, gosh, it almost seems like the more loving a person is towards you. And we're not just talking about your spouses and your lovers.
Boyfriends, girlfriends.
You know,
Yeah.
My experience that I'm going to share with you tonight was with my guru, you know. And it's like the more the intensity of love coming through the eyes gazing at you, the more exposed you are, right?
So
the more you feel kind of that, you know, you might not be quite so aware of the absolute terror that is underneath there.
Yeah.
You know, there really is terror underneath there, okay? You might be more aware of the discomfort, right? You might be more aware of the kind of pushing away.
Yeah, mine was
the
more...
harumph.
Yeah,
you know?
mine was more of the crossed arm one.
You might be more aware of like a subtle disconnect that happens, okay?
There's many, many methods to say no.
Yeah. And you know, love does reveal. It reveals what everything. It reveals everything, but it reveals whatever is fighting against it. Okay? Whatever is fighting against it. Whatever is rising up in rebellion, or cowering and hiding. Okay?
Gets met.
Right? And it doesn't just reveal it. Okay? Love obliterates it. Obliterates it.
And the interesting thing is the way it does that is it comes closer. It comes closer to what's cowering. It comes closer. It kneels down. It puts its head by it. It absolutely gets as close as it can to it, you see. And then what is afraid or what's angry, what is defending itself, sooner or later has to leave or melt into that goodness, that love, yes, but just the moment it has to melt into it. So that's why people will leave. Suddenly there's this sumptuous feast happening of feelings.
If we let it.
Yes.
If we let it. In most cases, the reason why, what Tatiana said last night was so beautiful, because it was so true. The reason why that most of us are in relationship to defense, you know, and that we're not swimming in the deep end with each other, right?
No.
Oh, come on, swim in the deep end. We're in the shallow end with each other.
It's the wading pool, not even the shallow end. You know that little baby wading pool that's up to your ankles?
It's just a reflecting pool, right? And all we're seeing is our reflection.
That's good.
Like, how's my mask? Yeah.
Oh, how's my mask? I love that. Yes.
Are they loving it? Are they loving it? Are they loving it? You know, the truth is we are terrified of real love. You know, last week we said love is everything, right? Well, it is everything but benign, okay? Because it does obliterate. It is absolutely obliterating if we let it. If we let it.
And that's the free will.
Yes, absolutely. And that free will can only come with awareness, okay? You have to be aware of all of that fighting going on, the subtle fighting going on in the... You know,
the armoring. We're walking in armor. I mean, I'm surprised we don't sound like these knights that clang. You know? Yes.
That would be helpful if people's armor actually had a physical presence.
Yeah, because we're hooded.
You wouldn't be able to deny it anymore.
from the movies.
Oh, yeah.
The whole helmet, the chest plate.
And that's a generous depiction that we actually have slits to see through.
That's true.
Most people we're just seeing our own wounds rather than we can't even see through them.
Yeah.
Okay.
The visor comes down.
Yeah. But if we let love, it will pierce through those defenses. Okay. It exposes those wounds.
Everything.
It lays our heart naked in raw vulnerability.
And that's the juicy part.
Yeah, it's so juicy if you don't fear it, right? And that's what we're going to teach you tonight. Okay, teach you. I can't believe I just used that word. It felt so foreign dropping out of my mouth.
No.
This is what we're going to show you.
Remind you. We're going to remind you.
We're going to embody, and you can choose to take or leave for yourself, okay? How to revel in love's reveal. Because it's not that love has stopped penetrating our defenses, right?
No.
We're not completely defenseless to love, and actually we don't really want to be defenseless to love.
No, that's the fun part, is finding the little toads under my rocks.
Right.
Yes, I still to this day, even in my marriage, 10 years going, and little toads, always little toads. I'm always discovering a little toad under my rock.
I was just getting the image of those little, what are they called?
Not warts, toads.
No, the things that help you swim when you're a kid that, the blow up inflatable fins.
The little fins, yeah.
We're always finding new ones to pop so we can sink more into the deep end.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right? And so, we're going to show you, we're going to share with you, our own stories, okay? Because really that love, okay, that love as it does its thing to you, okay, as it does its thing to you, you may not be aware, like I said, of how much you're resisting, but really you are, and really you are terrified, okay? You are terrified, and it is more, we're not talking about that vulnerability, right? Or sorry, that unworthiness. Okay, we are talking about vulnerability.
Yeah, no, we
the
are
best
definitely
kind of
talking about vulnerability.
But we're not talking about just that unworthiness. Many of you have heard that. So many self-help books talk about it. And
tired.
I'm not worthy, and
I'm
I am
tired
not.
of
And
it. Please.
Sure, that's a part of it. That's a part of it.
Please, no more unworthiness.
Yeah. That's a part of it, but it's not just your unworthiness flitting from its gaze, right? It's not even just that timid, broken heart, right? It's not that adolescent insurgence brushing away its hand, okay? It's more than that. It's so much more than that.
Oh, there are so many layers to our bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the bottom line. There are so many layers to what we can contrive to not participate.
Yeah. Those truly are just layers. They are the layers, the lines of defenses that our rebellion uses against love, right?
And especially spirituality. If you ever, share my name, please, thank you. But if you do share my name, I'm not a spiritual person, and I don't do spiritual work. Don't include me in the spiritual genre. I live, and I look at the lies, and then we attempt to break the hex.
The curses you have placed upon yourself.
so that we can start living our life, not have our lies living our life.
Yes. Yeah.
So we spoke about that, you and I.
Yeah.
We don't want our lies living our life any longer.
Right.
And we lie to ourselves in these intricate ways.
Yeah.
And this is what you're talking about right now. All the various ways that we're capable of creating and contriving.
Yeah. All of those lines of defenses really are there to keep us safe, okay, from the truth, right? From the truth. Right? What is that truth? That's what you're here to find out tonight, okay? Yes. And all that I want to reveal right now is that in the process of keeping yourself safe from the truth and from swimming above in the shallowest end of your reflecting pool, above that love, okay? you are paralyzed, by intimacy.
Oh, yes.
Castrated by codependency. And I don't care how independent you are, okay? I am a very independent woman, and I was raised to be a very independent woman. And yes, and so is this woman.
Oh, yeah.
And even we were castrated by codependency.
Instead of becoming an independent woman, I became a man woman. Okay? I was not an independent woman. I became a man woman. I became a... what do you call that from Dr. No? When they combine two things that should never be together.
I don't know.
Yeah, like the centaur, half man, half something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, those things, okay? That's what I was. I wasn't a man and I wasn't a woman. And I definitely wasn't independent.
Yeah.
And that's another lie we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
That we're independent. No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're codependent in every way.
Yeah. We really think that in our rise above that love, okay, above really, we really are going to be talking about the heartbreak tonight.
Yes.
And
yes,
again, don't get me wrong. We're not just talking about unworthiness. We're not talking about a timid heartbreak. We're not even talking about your heartbreak.
We're not even talking about man, woman, or woman, woman, man, man, whatever.
We're talking about the heartbreak.
Yeah.
The heartbreak, the broken heart of humanity. We're talking ancestral. We're talking what was here before you even lived this life.
We're talking a fall from grace, biting the apple, if you will. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah. The heartbreak,
the original sin, the original sin.
Yeah, the original sin, which relates to last week, right?
Yes.
The original sin. What is the original sin? Really, what is the original sin?
What
is the heartbreak?
Well, what was so great as a sin that we would be deployed? No. What were we? We were cast, not deployed.
Cast out of the garden. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, armies get deployed.
Yeah.
But we were cast out of the Garden of Eden. We were cast out of the Garden of Eden because of knowledge. Not wisdom.
Yeah.
Knowledge. And this is what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
Totally and completely.
Remember last week when I said to know love is to not be love? That's how knowledge casts you out of the garden.
Yes.
Okay? When knowledge came in this lifetime and in all the lifetimes before you, that knowledge about love, that knowledge about God, whatever, knowledge itself.
The categorizations, all the boxes. We're talking about all the boxes that have been created. The moment we bit into the apple and gained knowledge, we gained this and that.
This and that, exactly. Duality was born, right? The moment we believed we were anything other than love, other than divine, other than, period.
Yes.
Right?
Other.
Right?
Other.
Yeah. The fractures of the human heart don't just live in the heart, they live in the mind, right? And that's where then the I am and the I am not get born, of duality.
Yes.
The polarities of masculine and feminine. And now we're, trying to seek that balance again, right? And where does that balance live?
But the balance that we're trying to seek is erroneous because we're trying to seek a balance of pairing. Okay. High and low, black and white, pairing. It is not a pairing that we're seeking to balance. It is a reunion of all.
Yeah.
The balance will be when we become from an I to a we. And there is no us and them. You see, no more us and them. Regardless of what the us is or the them is.
Yeah. So what Tatiana is speaking to, the I and the we becoming the us and them, and is part of that heartbreak's fracture, part of that mind's fracture, part of the defense that we started to build around that broken heart.
It was the moment, the moment.
Yeah. So share with them your story of the broken heart, because I think we need to ground this into a real life experience, because even though we're talking about ancestral here, okay, this is not something that you need to go do past life regression therapy.
See, that's why I stay away from ancestry, because I'm talking about this life right now, right here, right now.
It all lives right here, right now. Okay, it doesn't matter what came before. It did come before, and the reason I say it's ancestral is to help you understand that it's not so personal.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not so personal to you. It's not so personal to him or her or us or them. Okay. It's not so personal. It's the wound that we all carry.
And it's rampant, which means it's rampant. It means it's part of domestication. It will happen. Us and them must be born.
Yeah.
Because that's part of our conditioning, us and them.
Yeah.
So my story is we were studying at the time. We were dreamers with Miguel Ruiz, Don Miguel. And he gave us an assignment. I always forget the title. What did he call it? The anatomy
of a broken heart.
The anatomy of a broken heart. So we were in dreaming, and
which is like meditation.
Yeah, really long meditations,
really long,
like weekend long.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was
all night long.
Fantastic. Yeah, all night, all day
all
for
weekend.
3 days.
Yeah.
So one of our guidances, one of our journeys he sent us on was, he said, go in and look at the anatomy of your broken heart. So I got quiet and I went in, and the first thing that came up was I was on a swing, and I saw what I'm going to tell you. I saw the whole thing, boom, 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 boom. And then I said, oh, no, that's wrong. That has nothing to do with a boy or a man or a love relationship. And I went in again, and I saw the same thing. And I went in, and I was so stubborn. Would you ever see certain things and you just kept going in again? Because, no, that can't be right, you know? And so even my conditioning had wedged its way into my dreaming. But what I saw was, I was 7, I was in 1st grade, and I was swinging. And I had gotten to school a little early. Our bus dropped us off, and I was swinging. And this little boy came up to me. We were kind of alone by the swing set. And he said, "You're Mexican." And I was swinging, and I looked at him, and I kind of like looked around, and I'm the only one there. And I remember he put his little hands on his hips, and he said it again, because he didn't get a rise from me. And he goes, "You're Mexican." And I didn't know what that term meant. I'd never heard it. And I knew something was wrong with the term. There was something not so good about Mexican, but I had no idea what he was telling me. I went home later that day. My mom was at the sink. My mother is born in Mexico City. My mother is Mexican. And she had her back to me, and I said, "Mom, what's Mexican?" And she whirls around. She did not turn around, as I mentioned to you. She didn't turn around or look at me over her shoulder. She whirled around, and she said, "Why?" And I said, "So-and-so said I'm Mexican." Oh, she didn't like that. She immediately started saying how beautiful Mexico is, and the terrain, and this is beautiful, and that's beautiful, and there's no shame in being Mexican. But the way she was presenting it, I knew that was a big fat lie, because you don't get that defensive. Now, I didn't have all of this information at the moment, but what I had was pure and sincere and innocent. It was like the energy here is she's not very happy. And this Mexican thing isn't very good. And the Mexican is not good. And the final information that she gave me, the final suggestion, she says, "You go back to school tomorrow and you tell them that Mexicans can speak 2 languages. I had no idea what she was talking about, the word language. So I went to school, and I was swinging again, and sure enough, he comes off his bus and he joins me at the swings. And I turned to him, because he didn't bring it up, and I turned to him and I said, "I'm Mexican, and we speak two languages." And he looked at me the way I had looked at him when he called me Mexican. And he just kind of looked down, kept swinging, and then I looked down, and that was it. in terms of what happened. But what happened within me was another story.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment he said, "You're Mexican," I knew that wasn't good. The moment my mother whirled around, I knew that wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
The moment she sent me back and said, "You speak 2 languages," I knew that wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart broke.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that moment, it was the first time in my entire 7 years that I ever felt a this and a them.
Mm-hmm.
I came from a world of I and we.
Mm-hmm.
My whole world was I and we.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what us and them was. And I now knew that there is us and them. And it shattered my heart, my life. And I spent the rest of my life till I was able to understand all of this. I spent the rest of my life fleeing, running away from being loved, because if somebody loved me, they would see that I was damaged goods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They would see that there was something wrong with me. They would find out the secrets that I harbored within myself. Because I didn't know that I was Mexican. I didn't know that there was something wrong with me because I was Mexican. You know, I didn't know that. So if I didn't know that there was something wrong with me, wait till I find out that I'm Apache too. Do you know? So what is it about me that I don't know that someone's going to find out? And that was the moment that I began to live in the world of us and them.
Us and them. That's when love became a battlefield.
In my Garden of Eden, I was cast out, and that's such a beautiful word right now, even as I can feel it. I was cast out of my Garden of Eden. I was cast out. It was my Garden of Eden. It was mine. And I wasn't allowed to be there anymore. Not ever again, until I took it back by realizing I had never left it, but I didn't live in it consciously because I was always waiting for someone to find out what was wrong with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you all see the vulnerability here? What you're witnessing right now is love's reveal. Okay. This willingness, this surrender to her own vulnerability, even still. Todavía.
I missed my garden, which was we. Everything for me was we. There was no us and them. And so we'll get into it deeper after she tells her story, but very, very briefly, one of the ways that I faced the world then was I got angry. I deal with anger when I'm not happy. And so I got angry and I got belligerent. Remember how we said what you did, and then what I did was prove it to me. Prove it. Okay? Prove the us or the them. Where do you stand? Are you us or are you them? I got very belligerent that way.
She was a fighter. She was the one fighting, rising up in rebellion against love.
I totally rebelled. And I totally and completely demanded to know, where do you stand? What camp are you in? Us or them? Now, I had no idea what either camp would mean. What is the us camp or the them camp? But I wanted to know what camp you were in. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. That's how I handled it. I got very angry and very belligerent and I got hard. Oh, that was another thing. My sweetness, my vulnerability, yes, but my way of just being kind and generous and patient and wise was obliterated for a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so precious. I really just want to bring your attention. I want to redirect again to the vulnerability here, the willingness to love's reveal that you're witnessing, because that's what you have to be willing to do, okay? If you want real love, okay? We all say we want real love.
Yeah.
We want real intimacy. And women, come on, I'm so tired of hearing you complain about your men who have these intimacy issues. So do you, okay? Stop pointing the finger out there, all right? Hold your own heart for a moment. Listen to your own heart for a moment. What lives inside of that heart under your blame, okay? Underneath all of your defenses, what is there, okay? Turn to that heart. Listen with this kind of surrender, okay? Because what I loved in your sharing last night, this story, and that creation of the us and them, okay? Like I said, the love was born as a battlefield. That was, love is a battlefield, right? And that us and them, and even though you looked really fiery, and you were a fighter and independent, and you were like reaching for your independence, right? She was reaching for her independence, demanding it. And yet, there was an us and them. Meanwhile, in that us camp, all right, she was recruiting, right? She was recruiting the us. So she didn't have to stand there alone, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, really be mindful of that. If you're one of those people like I was, like Tatiana was, thinking of yourself as so independent, and no, I don't do that codependency crap.
Liar.
Look again. Yeah, liar, pants on fire. Got any marshmallows? It's time for some s'mores, baby.
Because you needed, we needed someone there with us.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we weren't a we anymore. And we'll get into that, but we weren't a we anymore since we were an us and a them, but I still needed another us.
Yeah.
Or if I was a them, you see, because I never quite knew. I never quite knew if I was an us or a them.
Yeah. Well, and my us and them, I don't really have a heartbreak story for you guys. I have a heart breaking open story for you guys to tell, but I'll share that in a moment. But what I want to share about kind of the anatomy of my broken heart that I learned about was, by sitting with it, by getting so vulnerable with it, is that I didn't develop, my battlefield wasn't us and them.
Oh, yeah.
My battlefield looked a little bit different. It was me versus them. Okay, it was me versus them. I isolated, okay? Where she was the part that love obliterates, the part that is fighting, rising up in rebellion. My rebellion looked different. It was still a rebellion, okay?
Yeah.
But my rebellion was the one that cowers and hiding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And mine's the one that shot out in anger.
So I withdrew from the world, okay? Underneath all of my layers of defenses was this ghost of a girl who had abandoned the building, vacated the building. I had left the world, okay? I didn't know how to be here. I didn't want to be here in a world that defined me, that attempted to refine me and confine me, I didn't want to be part of this world, and I didn't know how to be this essence of love that I am. And still be here as part of this world. And so what did I do? I isolated, okay? I didn't have that sense of an us, right? I mean, I love my brothers. I love my family. Yeah. But I just always felt like I didn't belong, okay? And I didn't quite want to belong, okay? That was how big my defense was.
And it's like what you were talking about and what we talked about at one of the sessions, I think it was about puberty or virginity, where you took it up and I took it down.
Yes, yeah, and that's exactly it. A ghost of a girl. I was haunted, but I was haunting.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And I did. I retreated. And where did I retreat to? Okay, now listen up, all you spiritual people that think you're so much closer to love and the truth in your spiritual journey. Guess what I used to isolate, to retreat to continue to lie to myself through?
Your codependency.
My codependent relationship with spirituality. Okay? Yeah. Ooh, does that one sit a little funny? Are you guys squirming yet?
Yes.
I guess I meant to forewarn you at the beginning of the show. Maybe it's good reason that I didn't. That it might get a little uncomfortable for you.
It better get uncomfortable.
Show, okay? And that's good. You want it to. You saw what this woman was doing, and that moments of vulnerability and that love's reveal. We have to be willing to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
You know, as Rita Rivera used to say this, and I'm sure she wasn't the first or the last to say it, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that was such a big part of the process of walking through this, wasn't it, for both of us?
Yes, absolutely.
No matter what side of that rebellion coin you're on, fighting out loud, right? Or cowering and hoping nobody's looking, you know?
Yes.
Like I was. Doesn't matter which side of that rebellion coin you're on, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's going to get uncomfortable when you turn to this, when you are willing to say, maybe I am a little scared of love. Maybe I do have some defenses up. Maybe it's not just him or her or them, the us and them, there we go, that are afraid of intimacy. Maybe it's not them that isn't willing to swim in the deep end. Maybe it's me.
If you're living in a plexiglass box, you're going to be bumping into everybody.
Yeah.
You know, plexiglass box.
Yeah.
I can only get this close. Yeah. Okay, and then you try and jump in the deep end, you're going to float on top. You're not going to. There's no penetration. There's no penetration.
And don't we all want penetration in the end?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to go there. But truly, this is part of the reason why we are afraid of love, of that obliterating love, okay, that real love, is because no matter how tender, its touch penetrates.
It's like
with
when
an intimacy.
But it's like when I said that if I allow people to love me, what are they going to discover? If somebody discovered I was Mexican and that was bad, what else are they going to discover that I wasn't aware of?
Right. Well, that's what the rest of that sentence is. It penetrates with an intimacy that jars our secrets awake.
Yes.
Okay? I can't remember what it was that you wrote in last week's invitation. It was so beautiful. About why love is daunting, you know, because it reveals everything that
reveals
is not
all
willing,
the judgments, opinions, and beliefs that
would
want to stay guarded.
Yeah, that would prefer to stay guarded. You know,
they would much prefer to stay guarded.
Much prefer to stay guarded and unseen. Okay, so on that note, okay, let me tell you my story of the heart breaking open. Okay, and really, a little side note. Every broken heart, every breaking heart is actually breaking open, is actually a moment of love's reveal and an opportunity for you to heal once and for all. And I mean all.
For all.
For all.
Big A, for all.
For
all of us.
Once and for all. To truly heal that heartbreak, okay? The heartbreak, okay? So my heart breaking open, you know, I really had thought of myself, like I said, I had this codependent relationship with spirituality. And I would like go and run off through the woods and write poems in the woods and talk to trees and talk to the moon. And I thought I was dialed in. I thought I was connected. And the last thing I thought that I was afraid of was love. I mean, I had sought love like all of you my whole life. And I'm not just talking romantically, spiritually, everywhere. I was aware of that yearning, you know. I was aware of the disconnect in myself without being exactly aware of it. But I was aware of the hunger in that disconnect, the vacancy. I could feel it, and I was yearning for that love to recognize me. You know, I wanted to be recognized. I was craving its touch to reach deeper.
So if you had the disconnect, then you had a moment like I did where the disconnect.
Oh yeah. I'm
disconnected began.
Oh yeah.
Was created.
Oh yeah.
Your ousting from haven, you know, you're ousting, you're casting away.
Sure. And, you know, the reason I'm not really sharing like a heartbreak story, but I wanted to share this story tonight is because, you know, what's so beautiful about your heartbreak story is it has nothing to do with a lover, and it's not a daddy story. You know? Yeah. It seems very innocent, right?
It was a life story.
A little boy saying, "You're Mexican." He didn't even say that was bad.
Yeah, it was his voice, but you know.
Right. But it was such a subtle experience. And I think it's just a perfect heartbreak story to share that you can all understand that, you know, the first heartbreak is not what you think it is. You know, it is that moment where you separate yourself from the perfection that you are. Okay. So, you know.
When you believe that you are no longer that perfection, where you believe that there are secrets within you that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
See, that's the important part for me, is I suddenly realized, whoa, somebody knows something about me that I didn't even know. So what else is in there?
Yeah.
What else is in there to be discovered that I'm going to be ashamed of, you see? I didn't feel any shame yet.
Right.
But it was definitely what else is in there.
Right.
What else is in there that I'm going to be ashamed of?
Right. Well, and the truth is, when I did that, we were in dreaming with Miguel Ruiz together at the same time. And so when I did that anatomy of a heartbreak dreaming exercise, I didn't come across one moment, like a memory, a point in time in my life. I came across the broken heart, you know. I climbed inside of it, you know. I felt it. I opened.
Well, which is what you do. You always go into solitary.
Yes, yeah. Well, no, I mean, this was a breaking open for sure. I don't see.
Oh, I don't mean solitary. I mean, you go into an eye.
Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't. The point of me sharing that with you is that it doesn't matter that you remember the point in time. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter that you find the timeline on your life or on your mother's life, as it may be, or your grandmother's life, or maybe like your mind goes all the way back to the garden and you find Eve's broken heart. It doesn't matter, okay? I mean, have fun with yourself. But what really matters is that you land inside of that broken heart, that vulnerability, okay? And my story hopefully is going to help you find it, okay? So again, it's a story of Miguel, and it's no wonder that both of our stories center around Miguel, because I would say up until that point in our life, Miguel was the cleanest reflection of love that either of us had ever experienced.
Yes.
You know, embodied in a human being. And so, you know, it was towards the beginning, I think it was even pre-dreaming, and I was really aware of that every time Miguel looked at me, that I would flit from his gaze, you know, that I'd get real timid, and there was no cause for it. There was no judgment behind this man's eyes, you know. There were no expectations. There was no wants behind his eyes for me that would normally make little traumatized Rebecca feel uncomfortable and want to hide. No, this was more than that. I was feeling an intense terror when he would look into my eyes. I would feel that terror of being exposed, of being seen. It was like as if I was stripped naked in front of him, and you know, and it was more than that. I went to him and I said, you know, I explained what I was experiencing, and that I didn't want to look away from his love anymore. And so he said, okay. He said, okay, sweetheart, explain to me. Tell me the feeling. What is the feeling? And as usual, I didn't have a feeling word other than terror, but I had a story. And I said, it's the exact same feeling that I used to have as a little girl when my dad was driving the car and driving fast, as he would like to do sometimes, and taking a turn really fast, right? And my whole little being, like, couldn't close her eyes, but was terrified that she felt this looming death coming, right? Mm-hmm. My whole little being was both paralyzed by that fear and keeping her eyes open and wanting to look away because she felt that death coming for her. Mm-hmm. I felt that death coming for me. I'm repeating that because it's a very important piece of the terror that we all feel in the eyes of love. Okay? So I explained this to Miguel, and he says, "Okay, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Then let's do it, right? Let's sit down and let's do it." And so we sit down across from each other and we just start doing eye gazing. And the feeling comes, that terror, and just as I described, as if I were going to die. Mm. And he had just told me, before, that the only instruction he gave me was don't look away. Mm-hmm. Just don't look away. Whatever you do, don't look away. And I did that. I kept my eyes open. I kept my eyes on him, even though I was terrified. There weren't thoughts exactly going through my mind.
No, okay? Feelings.
Just that intensity of terror and of, there's no other word to describe it, but absolute terror. And all of that rigidity, right? All of that deflection of self, all of that in rigid, we're small, we're constricted, all of that. My throat was tight, my belly was withdrawn, but my eyes were still open. I was somehow finding my breath and eking my breath through my throat that was constricted. And eventually, just sitting with it, sitting through that fear, it just left.
It dissipated.
It wasn't like this moment of me seeing my broken heart the first time my heart was broken. There wasn't some magic words that Miguel gave to me. He didn't do any shamanic breath on me. There was nothing. It was simply sitting, staying, keeping my eyes open, no matter what, staying with it, and boom, it was gone. And from then on, I was like, I wanted to look in Miguel's eyes again. It was like, and I remember him saying, the moment it was past, he recognized it. Mm-hmm. He said, "Okay, good now?" Like, all done? Right? As simple as that. And we went on with our day.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing. And yet, really, what I felt had just happened to me was that I felt that I had faced my death inside of that. And I suppose this is part of what I saw in that dreaming exercise, the anatomy of a heartbreak, was, that the reason that feels like death, right? The reason that feels like death is because we have constructed ourself around the broken heart. You know what I mean? That's
Yes.
where we identify ourselves, right? If at the heart of the broken heart is us saying that we're not love, right? That we're not divine, that we're not perfect in some way,
If
right?
we've lost our perfection,
Yeah. Is that
Well,
separation?
we feel we've lost our perfection.
Is that separation from the I and the separation from the we and the trading for the us and the them, or as in my case, the me and the them? Mm-hmm. If that's at the heart of the broken heart, then, so we're not that. So then we've decided we're something else.
Which is why you outsource everything.
Yeah.
Which is why you look outside of yourself for everything.
Right. So we've constructed our identity around all of these defenses. Mm-hmm. And that's what we think we are. That's what we think. We think we are the secrets. We think we are the Mexican that's bad. Right?
And the interesting thing is that in my entire life, it's that particular label. Mm-hmm. You would think I would carry it as a label, being that was so important in my life in terms of domestication, my conditioning, but I never did.
Yeah.
I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Wow, I just looked at the clock. How do we time warp there? Wow. So we really didn't get into speaking into too much of the layers of defenses. I think you're pretty familiar with those.
But you guys know what you're doing.
You know what those are.
We don't need to delineate to the point that we do sometimes. You guys know what you're doing. You know your defenses. You know when you're talking too much, not talking at all.
When you're living here
yes.
versus here.
Oh, I'm an intellectual person. What the hell does that mean? I'm an intellectual person. Smart, where does smart get you in terms of love?
Right.
Okay? So what we're talking about tonight is simply, there was a moment in time when someone knew better than you about you. And you
someone
believed
knew
it.
better than you. Yeah.
And you believed it. You believed it. And in that moment, you were in the Garden of Eden and you cast yourself out. And you believed that there was an us and a them or an I and a them. And really, it's I and we. Okay?
Yeah.
It's I and we. The I is still a very important. Now that's interesting and important.
Yes, we are still a distinctualized. We are still individualized being within a greater whole.
Absolutely.
Okay?
So the I is important.
It is. It is very important.
But then there's the I and we. We.
Yeah, and we, not us versus them, right? Yes. I and we. Okay. Yes. And this is really important. There are a couple important, really important things I want you guys to take away today. Is that that step, okay, from trading in your me versus them or your us versus them wherever you live, for the I and the we, okay, is yes, it's a step into the vulnerability, okay, and the key to get there, okay, is really our motto here at Shameless Feminine Speaks is what is shamelessly shameless, but without shame, without blame, no victim, no villain, okay? And so it's to stop blaming the outside world. What's really key here is that the heartbreak that we're talking about isn't about what another did to you. Her language wasn't they cast you out of the garden. It was you cast yourself out of the garden. You see, that's the truth inside that broken heart that you've been protecting yourself from, that you're not willing to see, and you're terrified that others are going to see, that in fact you abandoned yourself, that in fact you cast yourself out of the garden, that in fact
you believed lies.
Yes.
Okay? You believed lies. You believed lies about you. I believed lies. My mother never said anything bad, but it was her defense of Mexico. It was her defiance. It was her body language. It was her sound of her voice. There was an aggression.
We say so much more
and
without
I
words
picked
sometimes.
Up Mexican, not good.
Yeah.
Not safe.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying tonight is you know there's nothing outside of you. It's all here.
Yes.
And the reason you keep thinking it's outside is because you keep looking for something that's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And nothing can hurt you. It can surprise you. It can disappoint you. It can frustrate you. But it can't hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah.
My lament my whole life is I looked for us. We, where are we? Where are we? I want to play.
Yeah.
I want to play, and I want to play hard. And what does that mean? I want all of you. I want everything you have to give me. Everything, every single ounce, because I'm an open book, as they say. I have nothing to hide. And I'm really zealous about that because I was told I had something to hide. It was intimated. It was suggested that I had something to hide with Mexican and Apache and all of these hereditary things that I was born into. I am Tatiana, and that is all. That is all. That's it. And in that, I join, and we are we. You see. Join us in the we. Join us in the we. What do you have to hide? Is it that bad? What? I mean, we're talking as if we have a third head growing out of our back or something, you know?
Well, and part of joining in the we and is first you have to rediscover the I. Okay? You really have to claim the I. All right? And, you know, I know for me as I walked through that journey, it was painful. It was painfully lonely, even though I had isolated myself my whole life. All of those, the illusions of the spirituality, you know, that I had created in my codependent relationship with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I really believed these things were present for me. And it was like, I remember the day that magic died. The day that magic died, that my superstition fell away. And I was more lonely than ever because that was my us. You know?
Yes.
In truth, it wasn't just a me, it wasn't us.
It was your
Just,
companion.
that was my us.
Yeah.
And so it does, when you really surrender to this and surrender your rebellion and dive beneath your layers of defenses and find that broken heart, you will organically, the we will arise for you out of the I. But you have to step into the I, and it is, you know, I tell my students, you know, you have to walk through the alone part, you know, before you can add that L and truly land in the all one. Okay, until we really walk through that alone part, meaning we take complete responsibility for ourselves as the love that we are, as the lies that we've been living as, right? Not the lies that we are, the lies we have been living as.
But you really do have to surrender your rebellion.
Yeah.
You see. You've got to surrender your rebellion.
Yeah.
And we are rebellious, and we take great pride in being rebellious.
Yeah.
I took great pride in being tough. I took great pride in not being vulnerable. I took great pride in that.
Yeah.
And it was a horrendous burden to bear,
Yeah.
to never be able to access the tenderness and the kindness that I am, the understanding that I am. It was a tremendous, tremendous cost.
Yeah.
I will never do that again.
Yeah, exactly. This may feel like it's coming at a great cost. You know, the level of discomfort may feel like it's coming at a great cost. But please just stay with it, stay with you. You know, eventually you will walk through it, okay? And that's what we mean by revel in the reveal. It's not that the revealing has stopped for us, as I said at the beginning. You know, we're continually being revealed and getting deeper and, you know, punching or popping another inflatable fin, you know, so that we can get deeper and deeper and deeper.
She makes it pretty, they're inflatable fins. For me, they're little frogs under rocks.
Well, you know, so, and what I want to clarify is the alone part, okay, the rediscovering of the I, okay, it doesn't mean that you can't engage, okay, with the world. It doesn't mean that you can't engage with the we or with a we and be part of a we. It just means that you really have to stay present with that I.
But the I, but that's where the joy is. Oh my God, to be an I and to claim your I and to go into what creates me. What am I doing? What have I created? Because you are your own creation. I love what I discovered. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm up, I'm down, I'm everywhere but here. You know, I'm everywhere all the time. I love that. I love that. So in discovering the I, in the beginning, you feel like, oh, there's only me. And then now we're always going into that lamentation. No, don't do that. You are an I. You are an I in the midst of a we.
Don't abandon yourself again, okay? That's at the heart of the broken heart. You abandoned you, okay?
What is it that you love about yourself?
Don't abandon yourself again. Stay present with yourself no matter how many people are in the room. The truth is, only you are here. Only you are here. So what are you doing seeking out there, reaching out there for this and that and the other?
1 minute. I just have to say something in reaching out, okay? Conrad Simkowitz listens to us in the morning. So I'm going to say, good morning, Conrad.
Good morning, Conrad. We love you, baby.
We love you.
All right. Well, we really do have to run. You know where to find us. RebeccaHaywood.com, TatianaRay.com, @ShamanSister. at the Delphine Experience, and we're always available for you in private sessions. You know, we can only go so far in 50 minutes.
Yes.
You know.
But this time we did it. It's just lick your plate clean. What's in here? Open up the bag of goodies. Open up the bag of goodies.
So we'll see you all next week. Same time, same bat channel for Shameless Feminine Speaks. We love you all.
You're listening to Shameless Feminine Speaks with your host, modern-day shaman and sister to all, Rebecca Haywood, right here on LA Talk Radio.